sources. And so MinCup is an incredible competition that brings people together, provides that mentoring, provides that education, works with Launch Minnesota, works with partners across the state. We're also thrilled to announce this year, thanks to MinCup, that we are having feeder systems across every region in the state. That had been there had been already feeder systems established in the past in many of the regions, but now every region will be represented. So that means that participants in those regions that have a local competition will be a semifinalist in the MinCup competition. So creating, leveling the playing field a bit, right, for entrepreneurs across the state. So we're grateful and thank Jessica for her partnership in that. So at this point, I think I'm going to just turn it over to Jessica to share a little bit about MinCup and start the conversation. Jessica, take it away.
Thank you so much, Neela, and thanks everybody for the time and for joining. I'm really excited to share a little bit more about Minnesota Cup. I also have a few slides to share just to keep me honest and make sure that there's not some important detail that I miss. But maybe before I jump in, Neela, do you mind launching that poll? I know many of you, I see a lot of familiar names and faces. So this, but just to help me a little bit with knowing what level of detail to share so I'm not leaving somebody out, this would be really helpful to know. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's see. This is not a massive sample size, but good to know that there's no one on the line that has never heard of Minnesota Cup before. So thank you. It's good to know that I can be, I don't have to start at the highest of high levels about what we do, but I'm going to share my screen and then bear with me while I launch my couple slides. Okay. Can everyone see that okay? Great. So yeah, we to give a little bit of a high level overview, especially for maybe folks that might be watching the recording and haven't heard about Minnesota Cup before. We are a competition that is based at the Home Center for Entrepreneurship at the Carlson School at the U. We are a unique program within the school and within the Carlson School, especially in that we get to leverage a lot of the resources of the university and the connectivity of the U, but we are open to anyone in the entire state of Minnesota to apply. So we're extremely public facing. We're focused on kind of any corner in the state where we can be supportive of folks who are starting new companies or are thinking about starting new companies. So we use a competition format to sort of move folks through a process with a lot of other different types of support, but also particularly because we give away in the neighborhood of between $400,000 and $500,000 a year. And the competition format helps us sort of narrow down and hone in on the companies that are most ready for or will have the greatest use for those funds at the end of the process. So we call it a supportive annual competition because we sometimes people get a little bit intimidated by the idea of like, oh, a competition. I don't know if that's for me or if that is the way that I want to be. Like, it, you know, a lot of people don't like to feel like they're in direct competition with others, but it's really just a tool that we use, and we do our best to offer as broad of support to both those that apply through the 90 companies that move forward to the semifinalist round each year, and then in each stage as the field narrows to just continue trying to be showing up for the startups that are participating and supporting them however we can. So I'm gonna keep rolling. That here are some of the really high level details about our competition. I think we're always trying to keep ourselves honest and be checking other national competitions to make sure that that statement that we're the largest statewide new venture competition is still true. That is still true. There are definitely competitions through certain universities or for certain industries that are maybe a bit larger or give away more money than we do, but no one else does it in the way that we do, that it's completely free. It's open to anyone. It's industry agnostic. Like we really don't think that there's another competition like ours in the country that is so has like such a broad base of folks that can participate. So we're really proud of that. And the one, or I guess the two parameters, you have to be based in Minnesota. Even if you don't have an entity formed, you don't have to have all of your business stuff set up to apply. If you're in that position where you are still thinking about your business idea, or you're really just getting going, if you can demonstrate that your founders are based here, or a majority of your founders are based here, knowing that people are working virtually more and more. We really try to make that as inclusive as possible, but being sure we're directing these resources and support to Minnesota companies. And then the only other parameter is that if you're earning $1 million a year in revenue or more, then you're too large or too sort of mature for our competition, in large part because we're trying to be a front door and sort of a top of the funnel entry point for as many early stage startups as we can. And we offer everything that we offer to the participants in our competition is completely free to them, and we take no equity in exchange for any prize money that folks win. So we want to make sure that those resources are going to people and companies that maybe wouldn't have access to that otherwise. And so we would love, we love it when companies maybe have been through a process and then they are disqualified from participating again because they've exceeded that $1 million cap. That's a great problem to have, but it's those are really the only two parameters that we use to kind of gatekeep in terms of who can participate, which is really broad. So also something that the only way that it would be possible for us to give to support 90 companies per season in a really to the level that we do, and sort of with the quality that we do, is thanks to a huge group of community partners, volunteers, wonderful sponsors, and other types of financial supporters who show up because they really believe in this work and really care about the startups and sort of founders and people who are trying to build new things in the state. So we have across our 9 different divisions, we have a distinct group of volunteer judges that give their time and lend their expertise to making decisions about who moves forward and advances in each of those divisions, so that we are appointing folks with the right industry and functional expertise to be making those decisions. I'm fortunate that I get to steward the process, but it's not my call. I definitely don't have the depth or breadth of industry expertise to be making those choices, but the folks that we have as volunteers do. So that's a huge asset to us. We also have an incredible pool of typically over 100 mentors that raise their hand to work directly one-on-one with the companies that compete. And we put the participants, or the folks that are in our semifinalist round, those 90 companies, in the driver's seat of making the decision about what type of mentorship they need the most at this time in their development, whether that's looking to someone who has some specific functional expertise like accounting or legal, or something else that you don't have that skill set within your founder group, but you could really use some advice in those areas. Or if you're specifically looking for someone who has much broader experience, and you just need kind of a sounding board or someone to help coach you through the Minnesota Cup process, or it could even be someone who has deep specific expertise in your industry, has maybe run a company in that space, or has some other type of experience that you can rely on, sort of their past maybe pitfalls or things that they can help guide you and help you avoid. So we're really lucky to have such great volunteers and so many different types of community supporters that help make this process possible and keep it free. So that's also really unique. And I think one of the reasons that we're the only competition like this in the nation is that Minnesotans are really generous, both with their time and their financial resources. So we're grateful for that. I mentioned that we have 9 different divisions. I can point you to where those are listed or list them off a little bit later in the call if folks are curious about those. 7 of them are focused on specific industries or more narrow kind of buckets of industries. They're not like a perfect bright line. There's certainly a lot of gray area and overlap between multiple divisions, but we do that to largely make sure that we can have similar companies competing against each other so that we're not trying to evaluate whether a food company is more mature or has a bigger opportunity than a social impact retail company or a technology SaaS company or something like that. So the divisions really just help us try to be better stewards of who advances at in which places. And then the 2 divisions that are not industry specific, one is for students, which we define as people who are in undergraduate programs or graduate programs, but they need to have less than 5 years of work experience or be under 30. So that we're trying to, it's probably the most complicated parameters for any of our divisions, but we're trying to find folks who are in, who are students who have, but are maybe not on like their 6th PhD to just keep it as fair as we can. So that student division is often really exciting. You can enter with any type of company in that division. And then our 9th division is our youth division, which is a really, really cool space and something that we're really proud of being able to partner with other organizations across the state to support aspiring and current entrepreneurs who are 18 and under at the time that they apply. So I believe 2 seasons ago, this is a similar age range, but I know for sure in 2020, our youngest semifinalist was 11 and our oldest semifinalist was 81. So we truly, any stereotypes you have about new business founders being like 27-year-old guys working on something in their basement, it doesn't hold. Doesn't hold in terms of like what's actually true in terms of who's starting companies, but we definitely see that in Minnesota and are really proud of the diversity of people's lived experiences, their backgrounds, and the age range that we see, that we get to sort of connect folks and support them as they build their companies. Just a couple of other things. I already mentioned the prize money, which is something that we're always working to increase or find different ways to support different niches of founders within the communities, whether they're taking home prize money from our division spots or from partners and sponsors that want to support really specific niches or areas of the community that are important to them. We're really, really grateful for those partnerships. And another component that we're proud of is that we welcome companies to reapply and participate more than one time. You can come back year after year as your company matures, sort of take what you've learned in one season, come back or in the off season, maybe apply some of that advice or continue to work on your business and then reapply again to take advantage of different aspects of the competition, maybe get different mentors or just see if you can get further. So we definitely have had a lot of people find success really leveraging the competition to the fullest. We only ask that folks not return to compete if the business that they are competing in or if someone has an ownership stake with a different company that has already taken home Minnesota Cup division prize money, then we ask folks to not reapply just so we can kind of have a big tent and direct those funds towards as many companies as we can. So that's kind of my highest level overview, but I am gonna bounce ahead to just a couple of other quick comments, and then I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to asking a few questions of Lena, who's on the line and is one of our MinCup alumni, because I think it's always more helpful to hear from someone who's actually done it than somebody who's pitching it to you like me. So yeah, I mentioned this is just, again, at the high level that we have 9 divisions. You do not have to be in any one industry or space to participate. We are totally industry agnostic. We just ask you to kind of self-select into one of our 9 divisions, since that's the mechanism we use to route folks forward in the competition. And this year in 2022, Our applications open on March 14th, which is a Monday, and they close on Friday, April 15th at midnight. So they're open for a full month, which gives us a lot of opportunity to continue supporting folks, connecting with folks that are interested in applying. And I mean, COVID has made these events a little bit of a roller coaster, or something that we always have to have plans B and C in place. But I'm really hopeful that during that time frame, I will be in different parts of the state, whether that's at partner feeder competitions, as Neela mentioned, or other info sessions and support events, so that if you're joining us from outside the Twin Cities, you can meet us in person, you can get your questions answered and get one-on-one in-person help if you'd like. That said, we do offer a ton of virtual help sessions, office hours. So and we do our best to record and share on our website everything that we can, so that if there's something that you're interested in but you missed it, you have a full library of resources at your disposal as you're working on your application or thinking about applying. So definitely look out for those. I'll, in the chat a little bit later, I'll put in the link to sign up for a newsletter. If you have any interest in Minnesota Cup whatsoever, I would highly, highly recommend that you sign up for that, because it's the kind of our primary communication channel to share events, share resources and opportunities for partner organizations, not just our own stuff. And we don't send out emails very often. So it's definitely not going to be one of those things that you feel spammed. We really only send out communications when we have announcements or have things that we want to make sure that you're aware of about our process. So I'll put that link in the chat a little bit later, but for you to be aware of some upcoming events that are maybe even before our applications open, we're really proud to be hosting the Women in Entrepreneurship series, which is a week of virtual programming from March 1st to 8th. It's the week preceding and the day of International Women's Day, and it's really a celebration of and about holding space for current and aspiring entrepreneurs who have the unique and sometimes uniquely challenging experience of founding as a company as a woman, or as a feminine identifying person, LGBTQIA+, non-binary person. So it's open to anyone. You don't have to identify in those communities to participate, but it's really about centering the experiences of those founders. And there are some incredible sessions this year. I'm really proud and excited for what we're sharing. The theme this year is care and curiosity, acknowledging how difficult and weird it is to have been running and founding a company, specifically during these past years of COVID. Not that it's not always weird and difficult, but holding space for the unique challenges in our world in this moment and how that shows up for founders specifically. So highly recommend that you check those out. I'll put the links for all of these events in the chat coming up. But the culminating event for that week of the Women in Entrepreneurship series is called the Power 100 Showcase. Every single one of the other workshops and events in our Women in Entrepreneurship series is completely free and open to anyone, open to the public. You don't have to have been an alumni or affiliated with MinCup to participate in that. But the Power 100 Showcase does have a ticket cost. It is $100 to join, which is a steep price, especially since Minnesota Cup, we pride ourselves on doing everything for free. But the reason behind it, and the reason behind the name Power 100, is that the goal is to have 100 people pay $100 and to get to a $10,000 sort of community funded total that will go directly towards the three presenting companies. And they're all people who identify as women of color founders, LGBTQIA+ founders. They're all, it's really specifically designed to be supporting and showcasing folks who are doing really important both business in the community and representing those groups, but also who are focused on making a really important social and community impact, and who sometimes have trouble accessing those types of dollars because of the unique work that they do. So later today, we'll be announcing who those presenters are, but tickets are on sale now. And it's an incredibly inspiring and fun event. So I highly, highly recommend, if you haven't joined one of those in the past, that you sign up. Then we will also be having an education series. It's going to be a 3-session series focused on and featuring founders talking about some really common topics that come up in our application process, or oftentimes for folks that maybe have applied but not moved forward. We've culled a ton of judge feedback and gathered a ton of information and insights as best we could to sort of find some common pitfalls or things that many folks can often run into, especially when they're applying for the first time, and turn those into 3 different specific education series that will be led by Minnesota founders to sort of talk folks through and open up a forum to answer questions that come up a lot in our Minnesota Cup application. So those are a new series, and I'm excited about those as well. The registration links aren't live for those, but fingers crossed if I'm on my game, they'll be live today, and they'll be promoted over one of our newsletter messages really shortly too. So yeah, then just as I mentioned, that's March 14th to April 15th is when our applications are open, and we will have a number of other in-person, but mostly virtual support and resource events throughout that whole time. So keep your eyes peeled on our schedule page and our events page that are posted on our Minnesota Cup website. But yeah, the newsletter is a great place to make sure that if something's coming up that you won't miss it. So yeah, that's it for the prepared stuff that I had ready, but I'm really excited to turn it over to and let you all hear from Lena. So I'm gonna stop sharing. And maybe I'll check the chat really quickly first to see if something came up from my previous comments before we get too far ahead. Oh, thank you. It's been being wonderful and putting links in the chat for me. So, and Mila too, thank you. So these are not questions, which is great, but really appreciate it. Yeah, all of those links are available. I can answer any questions you all might have about those events in the series. And Mark, yes, I can totally check on that and get back to you and share whatever you might need. That would be wonderful. So yeah, thank you again. It's good to see your names and screens in some faces. I recognize a lot of folks, so thanks for taking the time to be here. But I really want to thank Lena for taking the time to talk a little bit about her Minnesota Cup experience, talk about sort of her founder journey too. As I totally echo and agree with what Mila said, that it's never because of, or it's never one organization that can take any credit for a founder's success. It's all them, but we love to be able to work in partnership and show up in whatever ways we can, depending on the company and what they need. So yeah, thank you for being here, Lena. And would you mind just introducing yourself quickly and sharing with folks a little bit about your company, Conomics?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, can you hear me?
Yes.
That's good. So I'm Lena. I am the CEO of and one of the co-founders of Conomics, and I'm based in Rochester, Minnesota. And I'm really excited to talk to all of you here. So thank you for inviting me to share my experiences. And Jessica and Neela, you have done such a fabulous job of supporting entrepreneurs. I'm still new. I consider myself still new to Minnesota. I moved here in 2019 from Cambridge, from Boston, Massachusetts. So my company, Conomics, we have a genomics, bioinformatics, AI-based platform where we help other companies in the functional food dietary supplement industries develop safe and efficacious products. And we formed our company, my other 2 co-founders and myself in Cambridge. We were faculty members at Harvard. And in 2019, when I decided to move, and I was the one who was running the company, we unanimously decided that the company should go where I go. So when my husband was getting recruited to the Mayo Clinic, I made sure that if I have to move my company, that there is a good ecosystem, that there is support, that there is, like-minded people, because it's not so easy first to move your family and then on top of it to move your company, and your co-founders rely on you for that. So I made sure I did all my homework. A couple of things at that time, I didn't know much about the ecosystem, but I knew that the space in which my company functions, Minnesota, is one of the best places to be in, right? So we support other food tech companies, ag tech companies. So, so that worked out, but I was really surprised when I moved here, by all the support that we got. in Rochester and overall in the greater, Minnesota, Twin Cities area, everywhere. So that was, unexpected, really icing on the cake. And so one of our first things that we started when I came here was just networking and meeting other people, meeting other founders. I met Susan in my first, Susan, who's here from SPAE. Hi, Susan. In my third month here in Minnesota. So, and then she helped me connect with other folks, but also really putting myself out there and getting to know the ecosystem, getting to know other founders. That was really important. And so slowly, got ourselves settled here. I actually didn't register the company until a year later. And we applied for Techstars Accelerator, which is based in Twin Cities. We were the first Minnesota company in the Techstars food and AgTech Accelerator. And so that's how we got started. So that's my backstory. And then I can't believe it's almost a year since we applied for the Minnesota Cup. It's March. Oh my goodness. So yeah, so that's my background. That's the background for Economics. So we are a import from Massachusetts and loving it here.
Awesome. Thank you, Lena. It is wild that it was a year ago already, though it also feels like I've known you for a while. So time is, especially in COVID times, time is really strange and flexible. But how, if you can think back to that time, what motivated you to apply for Minnesota Cup? Whether that's, did someone refer you to it? What had you sort of heard that motivated you to give it a try?
Yeah, first of all, it's like you talked about it. It's a statewide competition for us. Again, for Economics, it was really important. It was really important for us to meet other founders and to meet really it's all about networking. So that was our attitude to apply. So my first goal is always to meet other people, to learn from other people. And if we win, we win. But that's how we got started. And then I looked into the competition. I was really impressed. So we were also, I think, Jessica, you mentioned other competitions. We have been part of the Mass Challenge when we were in Massachusetts. And so, similar, but not as big, I would say. I mean, they have different cohorts that they run throughout the year. But I was really impressed by, how organized MinCup was, and how much participation there was from volunteers. And I think I attended one of these sessions and got to, I think it was, I forgot who it was, but I really got motivated to apply, to get to know the system, to meet other founders, and of course to win. But that's just an added bonus. That's how I would look at it.
Awesome. When it comes to actually participating, or when you got the news that you were selected and moved through the summer phase of the competition of being a semifinalist, what was that experience like? Was it what you expected? Was it different than you expected? Oftentimes founders also wonder if they'll have the time to participate fully while they're also running their company. And I would just love to hear about how that was for you.
Yeah, that's a good question, because, I didn't expect it to be, to be honest, it was a lot of work. And, to run company, and we already have clients, and to manage client relationships, and to put all the effort. So I have a fabulous marketing manager, Ashley, who you have met, Jessica. So we put down a calendar as to what happens when is something due. And on the other hand was our company work, right? And so, what are our client situations, so you have to be absolutely organized. and don't leave anything. And that's how I have been. I don't leave anything to the last minute, because even if I have, I don't like to submit draft number 1 for anything. It has to be absolutely like the final, you have to make sure. So your draft number 1 could be done, 10 days before, and then keep working on it, because I don't know why, but all my great ideas come to me at like 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm taking a shower. So, so, yeah, so be organized, manage time. It's all about time management. And again, when you're a startup founder, either you're alone or you have a couple of co-founders, maybe you have other teammates, but it is all about time management. And this really puts you in that extreme zone of time management. We did have a lot of, and then again, not to mention, we had really good mentors. And one of our mentors spent so much time with us, Steven Snyder. If you get him as a mentor, it's just phenomenal. He was so invested in what we were doing. Literally every week, he would be like pushing us, okay, every 2 days or 3 days, we were meeting with him, whatever draft it was, whatever questions we had, we would run by him. And he really helped us polish our deck, our business plan. And so, it was very intense time, but again, when is it not intense in a startup? So, and then you have family, and then you have COVID, all of that going on at the same time. So there were a lot of things to manage, but hey, that is life. So
Yeah. When it comes to those experiences, we definitely, want folks to come in eyes wide open about what the work that there is to be done. But how, from those experiences, what have you leveraged, or whether it's mentor relationships or the materials that you did work so hard to create, sort of what have you found to be the most valuable part of the process now that you're a year out?
Yeah, so the deck and the business plan. And when we were working on the business plan, I was like, why does it have to be 10 pages long? Like most other competitions or, accelerators we have applied to, maybe a page or like 4 pages max. We were like, oh my God, this is so long. How are we going to be able to do this? And then the deck on top of it. And but what that has helped now, that is like our go-to master business plan, because it was so detailed. And not only that, but also when we were working on it, there were questions in there. I think that the template that you had shared, there were questions in there that really helped us with our business planning as well. Like some things like, you're running your business, you don't sometimes have time to think about all the 10 million different things that could come up, but that business plan really made us think about a couple of different things that we were doing in our business, or even how to present it. And so that was absolutely very helpful. And to this day, we have saved that business plan again as our, of course, there are updates, right? But that is like our go-to template. So if we are applying to any other competition, we just literally copy paste from it. So it's not like waste of time. And at that time, we didn't really appreciate that, and probably even gave you guys a feedback saying, oh my God, this was so long, we spent so much time. But now a year later, and really looking back, it was really helpful exercise to think about your business, but also use that for other competitions as well. And then the pitch deck also. I'm still applying to other competitions, and every time I hear other founders present, I'm like, oh my God, I wish they went through this process, right? And I wish they had Steven as their mentor to really polish that deck. And so I think, it's not just that you do it during that time and then it's a waste of time, or like, no, it is absolutely saves you a lot of time for your next, whatever competitions, et cetera, you may apply to.
So that's great. Yeah, we do get, there's always sort of a mixed bag of feedback about like if it's overkill or why a deck and a business plan, but we hear that from folks over and over again, that even whether they use those things going forward or not, most people do, but the conversations and even the exercise of completing it within a team often sort of raises conversations and sort of gets alignment that they just wouldn't have taken the time to do otherwise. So I'm glad that was your experience, because it's not a small amount of work, but I know in my life, there's no deadline. If no one's asking me to do it, I'm probably not going to do it. So having that external pressure and time frame, I think some good stuff can come from that too. So you were really fortunate, and excited to hear some more of your updates at the end of this, but you were super successful. You know, you can tell you really put the time in and took it seriously and got a lot out of it. But you were fortunate enough to win. Kenomics won the Food, Ag, and Bev division, and had some prize money that came home with that. So I'd love to know a little bit more about how you use those funds, sort of where they were reinvested, or kind of how those were helpful to you in your journey, especially being early stage.
Yeah, so we did win the 25,000 as the division winners. We also got the Impact Award from Minnesota DEED, and we also got $5,000 from the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. And so that's a good chunk of money for a startup, right? And so where are we using it? So we are hiring another bioinformatician very soon, hopefully, again, from University of Minnesota. And we are using some of that money for some digital platform building that we are doing. Of course, the platform is going to be quite expensive, but part of that money will be used towards that. So, those are the things that it would be hard for us to just go ahead and do it without this money, but now we have this money. And then, hiring people is always expensive. So, some of that money will be used towards that.
Awesome.
Yeah. But I would also like to say that, I don't know if you're going to ask me that question. You mentioned about the updates. So should I talk about the updates now, or?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, please tell us those. I have one more question for you.
Yeah, go ahead with your question first then.
Okay. I'm super excited to hear about those. So don't want to delay on that, but just to sort of close up the sort of the Minnesota Cup specific questions from your experience going through the process. What advice would you give to someone who's considering it, or somebody who absolutely knows that they want to participate or apply? Sort of what would you leave folks with after going through it yourself?
Yeah, I think you should absolutely apply. If nothing else, going through those exercises of putting your business plan together, putting a pitch deck together, that will get you started if you're very early in your journey with your company, to really think about your business deeply. And at some point, if you are going to really be serious about this business, you will have to go out and pitch to investors. You'll have to go out and pitch to your clients, etc. So this gives you a safe space to do all of that. If you have a mentor, they will help you through that. So I think just go ahead and apply. And worst case is that you won't be selected, but the best case is you would have thought deeply about your business. You would have had practice about putting a deck together and presenting it to people that you don't know. So I would absolutely encourage you to do that. And in the process, may gain mentors that you may have, longer relationship with. So yes, please go ahead and apply.
Yeah, thank you. Well, yeah, without further ado, let us know sort of how things are going for Kenomics right now, and if you have any announcements.
Yeah, so, it's been a hard time for us as a company because of COVID, and not because of sales or anything. Our company, everything that we do is something that we call RNA sequencing. And think about it, COVID is an RNA virus. And for us, the biggest challenge has been supply chain. And the reagents that are used for any kind of COVID testing or COVID research is the same reagents that we need. So it was hell for a year and a half with supply chain issues. And like I said, we already have clients, and how do you manage that relationship? Of course, our clients are understanding, and they are scientists, so they understand that. Having said that, so those were the challenges, but update. So soon after we were done with MinCup, we applied for Launch Minnesota grant, and we got the grant. So really excited about that. And we will be using, again, part of that money towards our digital platform build. And then the other updates, yesterday or day before yesterday, one of our clients, we work with companies that are large nutrition companies, and they're always hesitant to disclose their names. And that was one of our challenges, in fact, during Minnesota Cup, that, we could not disclose the names of our clients. Although we have some really big clients. And so one of our clients, we were asking them through, as we were working with them, would you be willing to put together a case study? And they're like, you can't put our name. You can't even say what ingredient you're working on, because we almost have a monopoly over this ingredient, so everyone will know. But then lo and behold, we really, worked on that relationship, and, we work on all of our relationships with all of our clients, but they just out of the blue, they called us and said, hey, we want to put out a press release. And I was like really shocked. You didn't even want to put your ingredient name out there, forget your own name. And so we got a nice PR from Ocean Spray, one of our clients, and this will be a continued relationship with them, I think 2 days ago. So that was great. And then the other big one is we had applied for National Science Foundation's SBIR grant way back again in April or June, or I forgot when, of 2021. And finally, we found out last Friday that they will be funding us. Of course, the funds will come whenever our US government passes the budget for 2022. So that's another big update for us. And so we'll be looking to hire more people here. One of the things that we have done is formed relationship with University of Minnesota's bioinformatics division. And so that's like my channel to get to hire people. And we also attended the fair that was couple of days ago to hire interns. So yeah, so we are growing in Minnesota, in Rochester. So those are my updates.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And congratulations, Lena. That's huge, especially navigating this past year and a half, or like how long has COVID been going on?
Yeah, it's been
mentioned. That's incredible. But I did see a question in the chat from Pat Dillon. She'd love to hear a little bit more about how the final product of Kenomics, sort of I know that you have sort of it's like a couple different avenues that companies can work with you, whether it's service-based or the research that you do on their behalf. How does that support companies, whether those are food and beverage companies or other types of companies? Yeah,
so we work with nutrition. So Ocean Spray is clearly a beverage company, or you can even say an ag company, because they have ag sort of division for cranberries. But those are the types of companies we work with, either the ingredient companies, the companies that provide ingredients to the food bev companies, or to the dietary supplement companies. And we have 3 different solutions. One is where we help them with their research and discovery. So the big nutritional companies use us in that way. Like Ocean Spray, we help them figuring out the benefits of their cranberries. There were different varieties of cranberries that they worked with us. And then we have similar, other companies where we are working with probiotics, and another company with aloe, etc. So that's one type of solution. The second, which is we are looking to launch soon, is where we benchmark the ingredients themselves for their biological effects. So it's never been done before. So whenever you buy these dietary supplements, etc., how do you know what to buy, right? What is good quality? What is safe? What is even efficacious? It may be safe, but you may just be taking something that has no value to your body. So we are coming up with a completely new method of really benchmarking the biological effect of these ingredients before they can be made into products. So then again, we'll be working with B2B companies where they will be sending us their ingredients. We will be testing them for every batch. And so that's sort of a recurring revenue model that we have. And the first ingredient test that we'll be launching for is CBD. And then the third one is more of a computer-based technology that we have developed called GeneTune, which is based on our proprietary databases, et cetera, where we can design or innovate new formulations. So let's say Jessica comes to me and says, hey, I want to put out a formulation for anxiety. Can you design a formulation for us? So based on our technology, and this is all based on clinical trials data. This is all based on all peer-reviewed data, and so we can do that. So those are the three different ways that we are helping companies. Really, we are taking the problem head on related to ingredient safety, related to product safety. A lot of these ingredients come from all over the world, and we really don't know what is in them. And so, believe it or not, nobody's doing this. So that's why we decided to take that on.
Yeah, we got another question from Kimberly, who is curious if the ingredients or the types of research that you do, if it's only for things that are ingestible or for food products, or do you can your software and tools and databases analyze other types of ingredients for their efficacy?
Yeah, so there are these databases already available for drugs. So my co-founder has actually worked on 20,000 different drugs and mapping out their relationship with human genes. We decided to stay away from drugs. There are, other companies that do it really well. And so in our case, it's mostly botanical herbal ingredients and vitamins and minerals. So like vitamin C, vitamin D, folic acid, or it could be turmeric or CBD or ashwagandha or any kind of these botanical ingredients. So that's what we are focused on. Eventually, at some point, maybe but as a startup, we had to focus somewhere, and that's where we are starting from. And that's where the biggest challenges are. And we have talked to the FDA. It's a nightmare for them. We have talked to people in food safety and global food safety, etc. So there are a lot of contaminant issues. There are a lot of fraud issues in these ingredients. So that's where we are focusing right now.
Awesome. Well, I think that's very exciting and super helpful to hear more about. I'm curious for others if feel free if you want to ask questions directly to Lena, like turn your camera and unmute. I'll try to keep watching the chat for typed questions, but really opening it up to anyone, whether that's asking questions of me about Minnesota Cup, specific things I can speak to, or asking Lena about her business or anything. The floor is sort of yours for these last 10 minutes we have. Oh, Amita, it looks like you're on mute.
I have one question for you, Jessica, another one for Lena. The question for you, Jessica, is just when does a startup end being a startup, regardless of the revenue earned? Mm-hmm. Is there a time limit you have?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say that the majority of companies that compete with us have been around from like 0 to 6 years, I would say. But we have no restriction on that if you've been around for 10 that you can't apply, or it's truly just that the Minnesota based and the revenue cap. So yeah, I'm happy to talk more about that. Or sometimes when a company has been around for a long time, you may want to be talking about that or addressing it in your application to just clarify sort of what your journey has been like up to this point. But yeah, it's totally open for folks, even if you've, there's no like term limits or sort of company limits for our process.
Yeah. And the question for Lena is, I'm also in the food and beverage industry, but I'm a startup and very tight for funds, and very grateful for Launch Minnesota and the others who have given me a hand and given me grants. That is deeply appreciated. Neela's unit has done so. My question to you is, could you share with us some of your fee structure to undertake these analyses and to come up with your set of recommendations and items that one can put out as elements to market, to identify oneself, to separate oneself, one's company from the rest of the maddening crowd?
You're on mute now, Lena.
Sorry, my dog was barking. So I'm going to put my email in the chat. And so happy to connect with you because it's a long answer. So maybe we can take this offline and maybe set up a call and I can walk you through that. So anybody who wants to connect with me, my email, I just put that in the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Susan, would you want to ask your question out loud too? Otherwise I can read it.
Oh.
No, Lena, I know that you have had to balance so much with your family during this time and COVID, and with your husband and your daughter, yeah, and your dog.
Yes,
Share some of the tips and tricks that you use in order to have that healthy balance and to stay sane.
yeah, sorry, our snow person just came at the same time. Yeah, no, as long as you guys can hear me. So my husband is a ICU doctor at Mayo Clinic, and he is a cardiothoracic anesthesiologist and cardiothoracic ICU doctor. That means that he was taking care, and he's still taking care, believe it or not, of the sickest of the COVID patients. And so it was tough because he was gone, and he literally took 5 days of vacation last year, and we have an 8-year-old. And so it's still hard to balance, family and as a mother. And I have a grown-up older child. She lives in Boston, so she's out of the house. I don't have to, I still worry about her, but I don't have to take care of her on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, no, again, it's like anything, you just have to make your priorities. I don't care if my house is dirty a little bit, or there's mess everywhere, or, I'm not going to win Mom of the Year award. Let's put it that way. I have been late for my son's tennis lessons. We do a lot of takeout food. Being in the nutrition side of, sometimes I wonder, like, why do I do this to myself, But anyway, so it's all about priorities, whatever brings, happiness to you. And so the other thing that I did is, you can hear my dog. I got a dog last year, and it was work in the beginning, but my God, it's just takes away a lot of stress. And then I got another one. So now I'm mom to 2 puppies, but they just take care of each other. And it's so much fun to see that if you have one dog, just get another one. Literally, they exercise each other, they play with each other. All I need to do is make sure that they have food, and they get some time outside, but that's about it. Yeah, so it's like anything. Now we call ourselves a chaos crew. That's our new name for our family.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that, Lena. Any questions from other folks? I also want to call out Mila was some other events and like upcoming things in the chat. Do you want to take some time and just talk about those too, Mila?
Yeah, I just, this is the time for you. If you have questions or you have other updates, I know there's a lot of ecosystem builders on the call. If there's other events or things that you want founders to know about, please share in the chat or come on camera. But I loved hearing, MinCup is a great competition. You have all the links there to get engaged or talk to your regional hubs and how to get engaged locally, and then also at the statewide level. And I loved, Lena, your story, right? We hear that you have to go to the coast to be a successful startup. And I'm just thrilled that our Minnesota ecosystem was able to support you in so many different ways, from the Techstars to MinCup to the Rochester community and Southeast region to MNSBIR Accelerator Program and so many others. We're glad we could support you too with our Launch Minnesota grants. So just thrilled that Minnesota ecosystem is providing that support that you need. Obviously, you have a lot of grit and tenacity and expertise to really to do it. It's you, it's the founder, but we want to make sure that we make it easy for you to land and grow your business here in Minnesota. Is there anything else that anyone would like to share in our final couple minutes? I'm seeing some new updates in the chat. I did put in the chat about our statewide calendar for startups and small businesses. We're trying to make it easier for entrepreneurs. There's so many different things going on, incredible trainings, webinars, networking events. But when it's on everyone's individual website, it's very hard for people to track. So we have a calendar on our website, launchminnesota.org. Just the top tab is calendar. Anyone that wants to add events to that, we'll add those, and it's very easy then for us to share out on social media and our other platforms. So those entrepreneurs, please check it out so you can see all the dates. We'll make sure that all the MinCup dates and all the great training is on that. And then also for those that are hosting things, please feel free to add whatever you need. There's obviously, it's a tool for you to use. Anything else that anyone should know about on this Friday morning? Probably everyone's ready for the next cup of coffee. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Happy Friday to everyone. This was a
yes.
great to be together.
Yeah, and I see Becky commenting in here too, Lena, in case you didn't see that in the chat, the SciTech program, a great way to find some talent with interns, really strong program, and she left her link in there too. So startups, it's an incredible program we have in Minnesota to bring the talent we need to the founders that need help. So happy Friday. It's time to get another cup of coffee. Thank you for joining us. We'll meet again on the 4th Friday of March. I hope you learned something new, made a new connection, and thank you for all you're doing to support Minnesota Startup Ecosystem. Have a great day.
Thank you, Neela, Jessica, Lena.